This is Jonathan St. James, and you're listening to The Truth is Still Straight podcast. All right, folks. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on what time of the day you're watching and or listening. This is Jonathan St. James, along with the A team with me. No, it's not B.A. Baracus. It's Jim over there. And then right on the bottom, if you're watching on YouTube, is not Face. It is Donnie St. James. Good afternoon, folks.
Hello.
All right, so let's get started. Let's talk about some things. I don't have anything to complain about this week. At least I don't think so. But I will talk about this Hall of Fame induction happened recently, and my boy Kevin Garnett got inducted, as well as Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, and a couple of other people who I don't even know. But I thought it was very amazing, the speech that his wife got, and in the spirit of what we always talking about Kevin Samuels, it reminds me of that FBI that he's always talking about, and then fit, feminine, and friendly. And despite whatever issues they had in the past, she really held it down in the end, and she really represented him in a positive way. So I just wanted to talk about that. It was very touching. Have you heard anything or read anything about it?
No, I have not, unfortunately. I saw bylines on sports websites, but I didn't get really in depth to see what she said or what KG said or Tim Duncan. So I really didn't get to look.
Yeah, it was pretty touching. She gave, so Michael Jordan, he basically escorted her, whatever they call that when they go up, someone goes up with them. So he went up with her, and then she spoke. She gave a speech about her husband, Kobe Bryant. Like I said, it was very touching. And of course, initially I wasn't a big fan of Kobe Bryant, but over the years, I definitely became a fan of his. And so I was very saddened by his passing. So I kind of wanted to get some of the soundbite to what was said, if I could find it. It was very, very wonderful. A lot of people gave a shout, like they were very appreciative of his contribution to the game and the audience. And also Kevin Garnett, when he big up the Boston Celtics, they went bananas. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I definitely enjoyed that. So for some reason, I'm not catching that's weird. I'm not seeing the history where I watched it. So that's very odd, the video. So, oh, here it is. Okay. So let's see. I won't play too much of it. So I won't play too much of it. I will certainly okay, let me share that audio. Let me post it. Okay. And here we go.
This is officially the most nervous I've ever been in my life. I've been pacing my room all day, so let's see what we get.
Nope, that's too early. That's too late. That's 10 minutes.
Presenting Kobe Bryant for enshrinement is a mentor, a role model, and most of all, his dear friend, Michael Jordan. Please welcome Vanessa Bryant.
I'm okay. I love you. Last February, I called Michael and asked him if he would introduce Kobe tonight, and he graciously accepted. Thank you for being here, Michael. Kobe admired you. This means so much to us. I used to always avoid praising my husband in public because I felt like he got enough praise from his fans around the world, and someone had to bring him back to reality. Right now, I'm sure he's laughing in heaven because I'm about to praise him in public for his accomplishments on one of the most public stages. I can see him now, arms folded, with a huge grin saying, "Isn't this some shit?" He's still winning. I wish my husband was here to accept this incredible award. He and Gigi deserve to be here to witness this. Gigi would be so proud to watch her daddy get enshrined into the Basketball Hall of Fame. I know Kobe's really looking forward to being here. He asked the Hall of Fame to specifically add a 6th ticket for Capri. He was so happy. He didn't really talk about upcoming awards, but he did mention this one a week before he and Gigi passed. My husband and I were sitting at our kitchen island, and he and I had a conversation about my mother and father-in-law attending tonight's enshrinement. I invited my mother and father-in-law to tonight's enshrinement to thank them for bringing one of the most amazing human beings into this world. Pam and Joe, thank you for raising Kobe to be exceptional. Thank you to all of Kobe's family. Sharia, you've gone above and beyond. I love you.
So I just wanted to show a little bit of it. She spoke very well, very touching and moving. And I thought it was pretty amazing, despite whatever issues they had early on in their marriage, that she really has been the consummate wife throughout the years and never put any drama in the street like that. I mean, there was a couple of issues with her personally and her family, but of course that was recently. But throughout her marriage to Kobe Bryant, whatever was wrong or right or whatever was going on, she just stayed in the background, which is very rare in this day and age in society, where you have a lot of spouses trying to get clout off of the people that they're married to. So I thought it was very touching, you know, that in the end, when all was said and done, that she could speak highly of him, and I believe truly mean it. And it's hard to, in this day and age, to see those type of marriages where you have a husband or a wife that is, you know, really by their spouse's side. So I thought that was interesting and very touching. So did you have any comments on that, Jim or Donnie?
No, I just feel that through everything, through it all, she grieved in silence. She praised them in silence. She was very consistent in how she was. So that type of thing is, you know, not really, how can I put it? It's not really like embraced or celebrated, because, you know, she's been very consistent, I have to say. So, you know, for her, it's I won't say difficult, but it's hard to keep up that type of persona after all these years, and I give her a lot of credit. I do.
Donnie?
Yeah, the only reason I don't have as much to say is because obviously I don't follow all this sports very closely, but at least I can agree with you guys in that she was very well spoken. She represented their union very well, and treated him very respectfully.
All right. So I was trying to find this audio, but I can't seem to find it about. I don't know if Jim, you heard about this, but there's been this ongoing. Oh, I think I found it here. So this ongoing feud between, well, not an ongoing feud, but this feud that has brewed between DJ Envy and Angela Yee and Kevin Samuels.
God, please. Yeah, I heard about it. Whatever, man.
So yeah, so I figured I would play that audio so we can kind of have a discussion about that. So
all right,
let me I'm gonna play the audio because I don't know whose video this is. So I'm gonna play the audio. Hold on one second here.
Breakfast Club, bitches.
Who's donkey of the day today? Oh, who's this?
Hi, this is Karen. I'm from Ohio.
Oh boy, Karen. Another Karen on the line.
Oh, I'm not one of them kind.
I'm just messing with you, Karen. Go ahead. Who you want to give donkey to?
I want to give my donkey to Kevin Samuels. Can I tell you why?
Woo! Sure, go ahead.
I think that he openly degrades Black women and he preys on their insecurities that have been given to them in previous relationships and their naiveness. And come on, he gave Saweetie a 6. Dr. Umar spoke on him on all that. He deserves donkey of the day.
Yeah, I think he's lame. I do think he's lame. I mean, what age are we where we're rating women and rating people? I mean, he's a grown-ass man. He's 50 years old. But the thing I don't understand is...
That's the thing.
But the thing is, which I don't understand is, why do women keep going to him? Like, that's what I don't understand.
Like I said, he preys on their insecurities that they've been given in previous relationships and their naiveness.
Yeah, because he looks about...
It seems like he hates women. I don't know.
Yeah, it does. I mean, he used to hang around the Hermes store and try to get clientele. It's, just to try to get people. And he used to wear, dress up and stand outside the stores and try to talk to people. I've seen him actually a couple of times. It's funny. But in Atlanta. But I mean, I don't know why women still go to him.
Back up. He said hang out outside the Hermes store?
Yeah, he used to try to hang outside the stores to try to get businesses. So he would hang outside the Hermes store and look for, I guess people with a little bit of money and try to talk to him and try to be a stylist or whatever he was trying to do. I see him out there once or twice. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
That's weird.
My salesperson from the Hermes store had to remind me, like, you don't remember him? He was the one that was outside the store. I'm like, that was him. Yeah, but he's lame. I don't respect the fact that he sits there and rates women. Oh, this one's a 2 and this one's a 4, and Ma, you look ugly. Ma, you're fat. Like, it's just it's a woman must have hurt him. I don't know. Maybe it was his mother. Maybe it was his girl, his wife. So a woman definitely.
Or maybe
hurt
he
him.
just doesn't like women.
So I'm going to play the whole thing, but I just kind of wanted to stop because I didn't want it to play all the way through. So first of all, these allegations that they levy against Kevin Samuels is totally false because although out of context, because he says those things at times, but that's out of context. He doesn't have women call in and then call them fat and talk about their insecurities. What he does is so basically at this point, I don't know who hasn't heard Kevin Samuels yet, but the whole premise of Kevin Samuels when these women call in is, so they call in and they ask about their options of getting this high value man. And basically high value man, along with high wages that he earns, has this criteria for what considers this person to be a high value man. So in the challenge is he asked these women to provide their stats and rate themselves. Now, do women call in and ask for ratings? Absolutely, but it's a fair rating. It's your age, it's your weight, your dress size. Those are fair assessments when you talk about dating you're not talking about dating Joe Blow or everyday Aaron. You're talking about somebody who is the captains of the industry.
Top 10%.
Right. So when you have people like that, there's going to be a certain criteria. It's just like we were talking about in the previous show, talking about if Halle Berry walked into a room, I'm sure there's a certain kind of man that Halle Berry is looking at to say, I will take him home or get his phone number or go out on a date with or be in a relationship with, all these different things. Halle Berry, for a perfect example, Beyonce. I mean, Beyonce, Jay-Z may not be the greatest looking guy, but Jay-Z's wallet is pretty cute. So there's a criteria for men out there in the world. A lot of times it's looks, but looks often are heralded with a lack of income. So if a guy's not rich, looks they matter more. When the guy is balling. As you can see, Dave Chappelle is not the most handsome guy, but clearly he's found a person, people like that, successful celebrities. So when you're famous or rich, your criteria is different than when you're average. So a lot of times when a guy is not rich and high earning, there's a requirement for him other than status. So the point that he's making is you're looking for this guy on top of the world, but are you on top of the world woman? So Jim, did you want to add to this conversation?
Sure. I believe those two were disingenuous at best about the intention of Kevin Samuels and just using rhetoric to get their point across on why they think, he deserves that. Kevin Samuels do not ask for these women to call in. They call in on their own. They know the intention of his program when they do call in, and sometimes, you're going to hear things that you don't want to hear, but it's, he's not lying, on the basis of what they want or think they deserve. He gives them honest assessment. What you do with that assessment is basically entirely up to you, but for them to say that he berates women, I never heard him berate women on, or something like that until they are disingenuous in the information they give him. And you cannot, if you're not honest with yourself, or honest with him, it becomes a little bit contentious because your intentions are not pure, or what you're looking for. You're just, faking the funk, and you can't do that with him. Most of these women, he points out their entitlement issues when they talk about stuff like that. And, it is very unfair. And then he asks, what's wrong with the average man? And that's the problem, he says there's nothing wrong in being average. And some of these women are average, but they're looking for a high value man for what? I mean,
right. I think really, to be honest, I think a lot of times women call in to try to be the one up on him. So you'll find these women, I think they're there to make him meet his match. But the issue with that is Kevin uses his arguments in stages. So he knows there are levels that women may have a suitable response to, but he always knows in the end that there's going to be this one question that they won't have the answer to. And that's the way that he forms his Q&As, I will say, for lack of a better word, or interviews or vetting of the person when they call in. The conversation is in stages. So he'll start off, I'll give you the perfect example. And I told this story in a previous episode where I was at work and, everyone in the office wanted to play lotto. And this young lady that was interning was like, I don't play lotto. And she said it in a really nasty way. And it rubbed me the wrong way. And I was triggered and I got annoyed. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to call her out. So I proceeded to say, why don't you play lotto? What's the problem? So she said, it's against my religion. So I said, it's against your religion to play lotto? She said, yeah, because it's a game of chance. We're not supposed to play, games of chance and things like that. So of course, I said, all right, now this is my Kevin Samuel moment. So I'm like, I'm going to win in the end, but I'm going to start off with some easy answers to see if she can get past them. So the first question was, so you telling me your church doesn't have raffles? She was like, nope, we don't have raffles. I'm like, you don't have bingo in your church? No. So then I said, okay, all right. Now let me ask you this question, because when you know who you're talking to, you already know the answer before you ask the question. So I already knew what the response was going to be, but I said, let me get it, since she's claiming that she's playing everything straightforward. So I asked, I said, didn't you just graduate from college recently? She went to Duke University. So she was like, yeah, I graduated recently. And then I asked her, I said, so what are you doing now that you finished? And then she said, oh, I'm going to grad school. So I said, how many schools did you apply to? She said, I applied to 5 or 6. She said, I applied to 5 or 6. And I was like, let me ask you this question. How much is the application fee to go to these schools? And she was like, some are like $100, some were like $50. And, she ran off a few prices. So I said, let me ask you this question. I said, how do you get picked to go to these schools? And then she said, well, they choose whether you go to accept you or not. And then I asked her, I said, what do they do to your application fee if you don't get accepted to the school? Do they refund it to you? She was like, no, they don't refund it. I said, isn't that a game of chance? Because that's a lottery, right? Because you're banking that you're going to get this acceptance into the school. Why are you going to the school? What is it? I asked her, what's religious about you going to grad school? Are you becoming a pastor or a preacher? No. So you're doing this for economic gain, right? So you're taking a chance in the game of choice so that they choose you so that you can get financial gains. So I said, what's the difference between that and lotto? So to make a long story short, she had no answer to that. And like I told you previously in the story, she didn't talk to me until it was her last day at work. And then she said, bye. But I knew. I'm like, you know, a lot of people, they don't understand the validity. You know, she could have just said no. And I think I would have accepted more than no than to say it's against my religion to gamble, because people use religion for convenience. I hear a lot of people's, you know, and that's what gets my goat. I remember a woman who went to Seventh-day Adventist church, and she was religious on, I don't eat pork. Okay, you don't eat pork, but you're getting pork in your crotch from all these men. So you're telling me eating pork is more important than fornicating and having sex with married men and things like that. So you see my point where the way people use religion, because I'm like, I knew she was sleeping all around, and some of these men that she was sleeping with were married. So I'm like, you're committing adultery and fornicating. Are not those things that we're not supposed to be doing? So you're saying all is well as long as you don't eat pork in your life. That's what you're saying. So to make a long story short, a lot of these women call in for validation. So they want to get validated against him most of the times. And they're calling because they think they're going to outsmart him. And I have yet to really see that done. And most of the time,
figures versus feelings never work. These women do not come at him with facts. They come at him with feelings. What I feel, what I think, it doesn't matter. Like what The Rock said, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Okay. You're saying, and this is where all the tropes about Black men are totally is proven. I did not know 51% of Black men do not have any children. That I did not know. Who are these women having children with?
The same guy. That's the truth. So the point of the matter is really a lot of these guys are having kids with the same, you know, like a lot of women are having kids with a small percentage of men. You know, you look at guys that got like 5 and 6 kids. Like I know someone specifically, he has 14 kids and they're from like 5 different women. So if you have a situation like that, you have a small percentage of guys that have a lot of kids. And there was that one rapper guy, I forgot what his name was. He had like a freaking 18 kids or something crazy like that. So you have a lot of guys out there that just drop their seeds all over the place. And then, you know, you have the rest of the world as, you know, they're lucky if they have one kid with somebody. And that's really what happens, you know, because I was watching, I think even I was watching one of the Fresh and Fits that I put you on to on our previous show that, the way that women describe men that they're interested in, it's always the same guy. You know, it's always the same guy. So when they meet people that they're interested in, it's never the guy, even though they say it. And there was one that I watched. I wish I could recall it so I could play it. But basically, the guy, you know, and he was like, you say you want this guy, but then you gave him a long way to go. And he was like, so you really went into the guy? Because she was like, oh, it really turns me on to make a guy that makes me laugh. And then he was like, oh, yeah, so the guy that made you laugh, well, what did you do to how long did this guy have to bed you? And she was like, oh, we went out so many times. But he was like, I thought humor turned you on. So you said the guy was funny, but you made him wait. And then she said, yeah, but, I wanted to be sure and this and that. He said that he told her, you're capping. And even the women on there was like, you're capping, because when you meet a guy that excites you, that's the bad boy, that does not happen. Bad boys, they get moved through the ropes and stanchions. They get sent to the VIP section. all the time. All the time. And that's what he told me. He said, I bet you if Dave Chappelle came over to your house, you're smashing Dave Chappelle. And she was like, no, I wouldn't do that because I would want him to be my boyfriend. And they were like, you're lying. You're lying.
Not honest. See, this is where they're not honest. Please, excuse me. Please, women, you gotta be honest. You have to be honest with your feelings of who you're talking to. People don't like that, behind the back BS because you're disingenuous. And you're not going to be taken seriously for the rest of the conversation. And I'm sure she wasn't taken seriously because
no, she wasn't. And she did a lot of talking. She did a lot of talk. I'm like, this woman is talking way too much. She reminds me of the movie Coming to America when they were in the club and she was like, I dance in videos. I want to direct the videos. I want to star in the videos. I want to produce the videos. She reminds me of that woman. I was like, this woman ran her mouth. I was like, if I saw her in the club and I was interested in her, by the time she finished saying one paragraph, I would have been like, no, thank you. There's just some people who just overdo things in life. And that was definitely one of those women who just overdid things. I was just like, oh, you're driving me nuts, lady. You are driving me nuts. So it's just interesting. And I think, Donnie, was there anything you wanted to comment on this topic?
Sure. Yeah. You know what I think it really is? I think what people usually get caught up on with Kevin Samuels content is like the things that are happening because he's hosting a show, right? So when he's talking to them, he'll say things that are more rude, like he's playing it up because it's for entertainment, right? Like when he plays the tuba sound after hearing someone's weight, it's not that he like hates that person, it's that he's hosting a show and he has to get laughs and content and stuff like that. I think some of those aspects, a lot of people maybe give them too much weight, so then they will get caught up in what he's saying sometimes, and thus lash out against him.
Yeah, I agree.
They're focusing on the wrong message, though, and that's not the point of his message. They're just dissecting parts that are for entertainment, and they know it's for entertainment. But since they're looking for outrage, fake outrage, they're going to focus on that part alone and skip the message. And that's where people get caught up in their feelings. Like, take your feelings out of it. Listen to, it's the whole thing how you first went viral, You Will Die Alone. People only play that one snippet, nothing before or after. A minute is not a good gauge to say that he is being berating or not. So people got lost in the message until they were corrected, and people don't like being corrected. They like to go with their message because that's what gets them hits.
I agree with that. So I'm going to actually play it. So I'm going to start the relationship topic because I think this would be a good segue into talking about relationships. So the topic for today is lost in emotion. And that's not being able to find someone for relationships. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so let me play that clip and we're going to get started.
Okay, Miss Comedian.
No, you know what? And you know what about Mr. Organic though is that we literally had a conversation before.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Started, and he's like chill as fuck. It's not like he's like, yo, my million. It's like we had a conversation. He answered questions. He was cool as shit. He was like, yo, I'm a homebody. Like he was just chill. So it doesn't come up. You know, I don't know how it comes off. I don't know how it came off in the podcast, but you know what I mean. He was still down to earth. Okay, turn on. You know what turns me the fuck on?
Oh, here we go.
I love how you whisper.
What is that speaker?
Here we go.
I'm obsessed with my podcast.
Here we go.
Yeah, you got it. You got that voice. They gonna hold you.
I know. Just think
Shout out to my guy Will Harris.
Okay. You know what turns me the fuck on? A guy that this is so nerdy, but it's so fucking true. A guy that I can fucking laugh with. Like I love being on a date, and I remember being in the car. And I didn't want to get out of the car because we're just fucking shooting the shit and talking, and he's making me laugh. And
Forgive the
It's
cursing.
not like he has to be like a
Yeah, I know. People can't talk.
Like, I'm really into
And
funny
fair
guys.
use, by
And
the
she
way,
sent me
fair
with this
use.
dude who was like,
Even though
let
nobody
out
cares.
like every 3 seconds.
Yeah.
I was like,
Why
no,
the chick
it's not
across
about
the
that.
road and shit
Yeah,
on.
it's like, dude, chill. But just that sense of humor, that banter, that wittiness that you can go back and forth. And I remember being in the car. It happened recently, and I was like, I don't want to get out of the car because this is so fucking cool. Like he's so chill and.
Now, first, do you see how much a lot of talking she did in a little bit amount of time? That would annoy the hell out of me.
Yeah, she did.
That's just way too much talking. But let me finish playing it.
Fuck, that shit
Just
is
good
rare,
vibes,
man.
good
It's
vibes,
so
good
good.
vibes.
Baby, that motherfucking patty was warm to really get out that soggy draw.
Good vibes is
Not to
definitely.
be
I got a
cliche,
quick
but-
question. I got a quick question. Was it like a first date that you met this guy?
This was, we had hung out 3 times before, actually.
3 times
Yeah.
prior?
So this
Did he
is
show
fourth
the
date.
funniness on the first date or later on?
No, he was funny from the beginning.
He was funny from the beginning?
Yeah, but not, you know, the first time we ever hung out, it was like 4 of us.
Mhm.
So you can show that off, but it's easier when you're coming off of other people's banter. But
So
when
that
you're
was the-
one-on-one, I think it's harder,
So
right?
the first date you guys went out like on a friend's date, 4 other people?
Yeah.
Did
It
you
was like a
suggest that?
setup. No.
He suggested that?
The 4 date, no, like just friends that wanted us to meet.
Mutual.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys met in like I guess a situation where there were mutual friends there or whatever.
Yes.
They said you guys got to meet. Okay,
Yeah.
and then did you guys like hang out one-on-one that night?
No.
Not at all.
No, not at
Okay, the second day you guys hung out one-on-one.
The 3rd date.
You guys didn't hang out one-on-one until the 3rd date?
Yeah.
Why did you guys hang out one-on-one on the second date?
Yeah.
The second time we saw each other. Wow, I'm getting really personal.
Yeah, come on now. You got that.
Second time,
After doing all that talking.
because the second
No,
time
not too honest.
I invited him to my birthday. I was like having people over for my birthday,
Mm-hmm.
and I was kind of like, I don't know, and so my friends were like, well, I was like, you know what? Let me just invite him to my birthday and see how
Okay,
that goes.
so quick, I gotta ask the hard question. Did you fuck him on the second time that you met him?
No.
You didn't? On the
No.
3rd time?
No.
Okay, guys, that's why you don't be a fucking clown with women.
Get your ass up out of these jokes, nigga. She took
Can
you
I
as a
say
clown.
why? Can I say why?
I respect that guy so much,
You
yo.
guys have heard this before, but this is just a me thing. If I really like a dude, I don't want to immediately have sex.
First of all, never trust a woman that does too much talking. That is way too much talking. And she's saying absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Think about this. She's probably, if you wrote the words that she spoke in this little bit of time, we're talking about in a little under 3 minutes, because there's a little bit of back and forth with the rest of the group. So in that little bit of time, she must have said at least 2 pages worth of dialogue, and you've learned absolutely nothing in the message that she said. Anyway, yeah, let me continue with the video, and then I'm going to take a pause and we can kind of discuss that.
Sex with him. No, it's true.
Wrong. Don't do that.
Wait, why is it
It's
wrong?
fine.
Fred?
It's because I'm
Live
really
life.
vulnerable. All of a sudden now I care if he calls again. You know,
Never
if I
heard of
don't
the
care,
90-day
I'm just
rule?
like, fuck it. I'm just really horny.
Okay, question. You said you're
Does that make
a
sense?
comedian, kind
No,
of.
it doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to stop it
Kevin,
right
how-
there because I want to say something that she said. And this is what, you know, when we talk about not being able to find someone in relationships, that is the number one problem in relationships. So I'm going to, later on in the video, you're going to see something. Myron is the guy on the left hand side. He is the fit of the Fresh and Fit. And then Fresh is on the, Myron is on the left. I don't know if I said right, but Myron is on the left and he's fit. And then Fresh is on the right. I forget, he goes by Fresh, so I don't even know what his real name is. But they say something about this later on. But here's the number one issue in terms of finding people with relationships. And the number one issue, and this is what I want to talk about before we even continue into this video. And the biggest problem is meeting people. Now, I don't know if you heard what she said, Jim and Donnie, but she said, if I really like somebody, I want to go through this process of making him wait before all those things happen. And then she said, if I don't care about him, she's like, oh, well, she's basically said that she's going to have sex with him because she's horny. Now here, that's to me, a big fail. So the key is not giving yourself away to somebody who doesn't deserve it and not giving yourself away to somebody who deserves it. That is just so backwards. So what is the point in that? And so am I wrong, Jim? I mean, tell me, am I wrong in that thought?
No, you're absolutely correct. But the problem is that it's a part justification, part acceptance, part being getting another girl in that take to get the heat off her. You'll say anything to get that attention off you. And Sometimes, it doesn't work because it's like you're on your own. And for her, she messed up when Myron asked her the tough question, and she had no answer. In all honesty, she was better. Just you have to learn when to keep quiet. When just not to say anything is your best response. Just say, I don't know. Maybe I have to rethink things. You have to admit some things. You cannot just come out and say anything and hoping that, somebody will pick up on it or stuff like that. And unfortunately, that's what most women do. They're looking for that validation or support for somebody to just jump in. Wrong. Sometimes you just got to be quiet.
I agree with that. And Donnie, what do you think about all of that? What is your impression? If you met a woman like this and you heard her say that at the table, what would be your thoughts on what she just said?
I guess here's what I was trying to like detangle what the exact meaning of the phrase was, honestly. But here I'm just gonna give you what I think the idea is supposed to be. I guess the idea is if there aren't feelings attached, sex with someone is fine because you don't really care what their opinions of it or you are after. And then the idea is supposed to be like, if you like them, you don't want them to think you're, I don't know, easy. But I think what the issue that then follows that is, whoever those people are that will, if you have sex with them early and they look at you differently, those aren't people you want to be in relationships anyway. You don't want to be with them anyway, because obviously they're not actually about you if they can form that kind of thought process. If you get what I mean?
Yeah. So here's the thing, and I think this is where someone like that will definitely have trouble with relationships, because she's not thinking about the reception she would receive from the person that would hear that information. So if you're a guy and you like someone and the person tells you, I'm not going to be easy with you, but I'll be easy with everyone else, where's the value in that when you're the guy that's being made to wait? And that's really the problem. So if I meet a woman and she's telling me she can meet Tom, Dick, and Harry, and because they're useless to her in terms of a future in a relationship, I'm just going to lay down and spread my legs to them. But I really like you, so I'm going to treat you like I'm a virgin and I'm going to make you wait. That absolutely just performs zero logic to the person that's on the other side. It might make sense to you as a woman, but as a man, that makes no sense, because one, there's not too many respectable men who like women that's for the streets. And that's really the truth. I don't know about you, but I think if I met a woman that was a prostitute, for example, not saying that this one was a prostitute, but if I met a woman who's prostituting, I'll give you a perfect example. I met many years ago, I met this woman, young lady. Her name was, I won't say her name just in case. Well, anyway, I met her. She was a college senior. I was a few years older than her, I think, or something. I don't remember how old I was. And I liked her. So we hung out, we spent time together, whatever. And then she, came out and told me, look, I really like you. But and I think I spoke about this on a previous podcast as well, and that she said that she wanted to have a relationship, but she wanted to let the cat out the bag, that if we got into a relationship, she likes having sex with men, and that wasn't going to be me being in a relationship with her was not going to dissuade her from sleeping with other men. Now, I liked her a lot, don't get me wrong, but here's the problem with that. Then what's the benefit of being in a relationship? Like, if your body will eventually belong to me and anyone else that you feel like you want to share it with, what is the benefit? And that's what I think a lot of women misunderstand when we talk about what do you have to offer in a relationship. So your body is, most guys, when they meet women, they think about their looks. That's the first thing that catches a man, and then the personality follows. So it's easy to get attention, it's hard to get retention, and we talked about that gym last night.
Mhm.
So I think that's a common mistake that a lot of women make when they when they meet men, is that they don't understand that men, there's women that allegedly, I don't know how true this is because I'm going off the word of the person that's doing this, that they're online selling their virginity. And there's some men that are willing to pay. I think I read that like $600,000, like there was this auction, this woman was selling her virginity, and there were men that were willing to pay in excess of $500,000 to take this woman's virginity. So, women don't understand that men have an appreciation to women that's not out there in the streets, especially if they're going to get involved with them in a serious relationship. Now, if you're talking about guys that are just looking to have sex, they don't care. They prefer women that been around because they just want to be next, and then they'll be X after their next. So, I mean, what do you think, Jim? Am I saying something wrong? Am I off base?
No, you're not off base in that type of argument because, you are entitled to what you want to do. It's always the consequences afterwards that you have to live with, and that type of behaviors that if you get a child with the person you don't really take seriously, what's going to happen after that? The type of choices that's done is not what you're doing in the moment; it's the consequences of what happened afterwards that women have to think about. And that's why they value drops every time they don't think about the consequences of their actions afterwards. And for women, they think, they try to shame men, they try to make you accept, and they go back to the guy that they made wait and try to bring along something extra. And like what Myron said, don't be a clown for these women. And he's right, don't go through hoops. Don't do the clown music. Don't go be like you in SeaWorld and cop like a seal for more tricks for these women, because they do not respect that. I don't understand why women pretend. Like, I don't know why she pretend about the whole laughing thing and stuff like that. You feel comfortable, yes, but obviously not that comfortable.
Right.
Because for the first two situations, you're with people. You're around people. On the third day, you're going to be like, if you're really interested after the first time, you would have made something before your birthday.
Right.
You would have
Right.
planned before your birthday. So for me, it's like, you know what? She was definitely not being truthful. I'm glad Myron called her out on it. And when women get trapped or cornered in that situation, they say the most stupidest things when they're cornered. And like I said, it's just better for you to be quiet.
I agree. And she did a lot of talking, and I felt like she hung herself with a plenty of rope. And yeah, that was interesting. So Donnie, I mean, you heard the conversation between Jim and I just now in regards to, like I said, not necessarily where she's coming from, but being on the receiving end of that as a guy. So if you were in that situation, I mean, what would be your response and reaction to that? How would you react to that if you were the guy, the funny guy that had to go through all this process and discovered that this woman's like, well, if I don't like the guy, I'm just going to have sex with him, and probably may be doing that while you're actually getting to know this woman, because believe it or not, that happens quite often. You'll meet women that you'll like them, but they'll be entertaining other men, and the smooth player guy will be sleeping with this woman that you lucky you got a kiss from, and then you find out, well, this woman has been for the streets before you even started getting into a serious relationship. She really liked you, but she was entertaining someone else while you were busy liking her. So I mean, being faced with a situation like that, what is your response to that?
As we say all the time, our episodes connect to each other. This kind of brings me back to one of our early episodes talking about like expectations and things like that. My biggest issue with that type of situation is, it's like, fine, it's your body and do what you want with it. It's your life. That's all valid and all that. But also, I just need honesty in regards to what's happening, right? Because if we're seeing each other or whatever, we should know what that means for one another. Even not even like if what her thing is, she does the guy who she doesn't care about, yeah, whatever, right? But if she's doing that while she's also talking to me, that's a bigger issue without even getting into that discussion over whether that's right or wrong or whatever. Um, if you're talking to someone, you should let them know if you're seeing other people. That way they can act accordingly. And some people aren't going to care, some people are, but you got to be honest about it. That's what my largest issue is. You could just avoid a whole situation from getting messy by just being straight up.
And I agree with that. But the issue there is if you're already if that's the lifestyle that you're engaged in, how if you're not taking your own body seriously, how do you expect the guy that you're going to now get into a relationship to take you seriously, especially if he finds that thing out? Because a lot of times women don't reveal those parts. And I know plenty of women that have engaged in this type of lifestyle. And unlike the situation where the woman that I met, she didn't tell me that until right when we were like, okay, we spent the whole weekend together. Now it's like time to separate. And now that's when she told me the details. She could have told me that before I even got there. And we could have made that decision up front, like when I'm like, hey, how you doing? What's up? But she didn't. She waited for us to spend we went on a crap load of dates that whole weekend. We went out to the amusement park. We went to all these different places and I spent a boatload of money, because I liked her. And then she waited until it was like the moment of truth right there. Like, you're sitting in the hot seat. It's like, okay, what do we do now? And then that's when she dropped the bomb on. Now, if she would have told me that to begin with, I wouldn't have wasted my time, because that's definitely not a situation that I want to be in, dealing with someone that's going to be dealing with a bunch of other people. And I know we kept in contact slightly after that. And I think some dude like accused her of giving him like an STD. And then he wanted to go after her in a big way. Like I think she had to file a restraining order and all types of stuff. And I don't know if she gave it to him or not, but that was like what happened afterwards. So, the people that you get involved in when you live those kind of lifestyles, it's dangerous too. And it's very unhealthy for the decent person that you're bringing in. And I agree with you, Donnie, that you should definitely inform somebody of your lifestyle. If you have that kind of lifestyle, people should upfront know this is what I'm involved with. And then they can make the decision whether or not they want to continue with you. But I would tell you, if things work out the way they work out because of what you put into them, you tend to get out of relationships what you put into them. You put crap into it, you end up getting crap. It's very rare that you're a crappy person and you end up in this magical relationship. It just somehow it doesn't work out in the end. And that's why you see a lot of these people that play these games that they're really single in the end, and they they just have nowhere to go but old. Jim, did you have anything further to say? Should I just play a little bit more so we can hear the rest of the conversation?
Play a little bit more. We should.
All right. Play that funky music, brown boy. Okay, hold on here.
In this room right now and said, hey, let's smash. Would you say, oh, I gotta wait or something like that?
Doesn't Kevin Hart like cheat on everything that?
Yeah, but that's not what I asked.
We just
would
said not
you
yet.
fuck him if he walked in here?
That is true.
Yeah, if he walked in here right now, would you smash him? Yeah, you would. So the point I'm trying to make is this.
No, I wouldn't, because I'd be like, I want to marry Dave. Like, I want to be Dave's wife. So I'm gonna play hard to get. I don't know. I honestly don't know what I would do.
You would probably.
Dave Chappelle gonna be eating that ass.
No, the more I like, first of all, if it were Dave Chappelle, which I would be like, oh my god, it's weird. I know it sounds nerdy, and you guys are like, I can hear your eyes rolling, but it's just that kind of fucking thing that you're like, this connection is so fucking cool.
No, because once you have sex, it changes everything, and it gets more
That's
physical, and it goes from a genuine connection.
Can I just say, this is another
Correct.
reason why I like to wait, is because the sex is so much
Yes,
fucking
I
better.
Okay.
Because you
So,
just have that energy.
If Dave Chappelle walked in, Gabby and Dave Chappelle would have a banter fucking laugh conversation.
like,
She would literally orgasm from the laughter
Yes.
that they had.
So,
It
ladies,
sounds cheesy, I
okay.
know that
So
you guys
I'm
are
gonna
funny,
say.
Okay, I'm gonna pause it there. And did you hear the major bull crap that she gave after that? Then she tried to say, oh, that's the reason why I want to wait. But you just said when you don't really see anything with this guy that you don't wait. So it's weird, the mindset of her. So we got to understand that how you meet people is what you really get out of in terms of relationships. So if your intentions, and I've seen this happen a lot, especially my very attractive lady friend, they just meet people, and when it's a good guy, they make the guy, like Myron said earlier, they made him clown. He was clowning and hardly got anywhere. And then they meet the jerk, the jerk guy, the guy that's going to really give them the problem, and they risk it all, move all over the country, move him in, buy him all types of things, give him everything, give him whatever he wants. That's him. And they're submissive to these kind of guys too. So you're in a toxic relationship with these, we will call them the 10% guys that end up dating all the women. So it's funny how that happens. And I think about somebody that I know. I won't say what atmosphere because it's too close to someone who may be listening to this show. But I remember one time how I found out that she was dating the guy. And I remember they were like, "Oh, what about so-and-so?" And I was like, "What? That guy? Yeah, he has a whole bunch of girlfriends." And then I realized that the woman that was in the conversation with us was dating him also. So I didn't want to get in the middle of whatever they had going on. So I was like, anyway, to tell you the truth, that's just a rumor. I mean, I knew it wasn't a rumor, but I was like, I don't want to be in the middle of that. But if you chose to this guy was a jerk and all of that, and he just was dating, I think, like 2 other women at the time in the same place. And I'm like, if you want to get involved with that person, by all means, I'm not going to stop you. I'm not one of those guys that's going to try to break you up for whatever reason. So I was like, oh, okay, well, you'll figure it out on your own. That was my thought. But, a lot of these women for the streets, they jump into relationships with guys from the streets. And then the guy that is about something, they either get friend zone or get they wasted time, or they may get short-term results. They might end up in a relationship with that person for like a month or 2 months, or like very short. And then, a whole bunch of other stuff happens after that. So Jim, what do you think about that?
You know what, the whole thing with knowing who you're dealing with and you still risk it to be in that relationship with them, it just shows a lack of respect, accountability, what you're looking for in a person. I can't get into their mindset because there is no logical way that you can do this. Like you cannot analyze. I cannot analyze it. I can't go into it. It's just like, what? It's like what you did. You just didn't get in the middle, and that's the best you can do. Unfortunately, half of these women go back into the same situation. It's like, why? You do the same thing over and over. What do you expect? What are you expecting? And that's what they should really. What are you expecting from this? Are you expecting this or that, A or B, C or D? What do you consider the so-called nice guy? Like, is he just for your entertainment while you busy entertaining somebody else, and you're not getting it from the other person? They do a lot of displacement, projection, stuff like that on men that they are getting a lack of thereof from, that they supposedly don't like, but they go for anyway. So you go against your interest, you go against your instinct, you go against your personality to be with this guy for what? No answer. But most women, I don't mean to be so disparaging, but most women don't have an answer for their behavior. And it's like, then the word, like what she says, whatever comes up. Whatever is a deflection point, another deflection word, and it just doesn't, lack accountability. You're trying to give off a persona of something that you're not, but then you are, because you give yourself away with another topic anyway. So, like I said, the gentleman, knows a disingenuous woman when he sees them, and she was being disingenuous. And some of the women try to cover it up with the laughter and all of the stuff. But if you like the guy and you're laughing, you would have done the same thing with the guy that you basically try to jump through hoops for.
Right. Right. And that's definitely a logic I don't understand, and I don't want to understand. I don't want to understand why someone who's worth your time gets less of a reward than someone that's not worth your time. And I know that happens. I know it for a fact that women do that they meet these guys and they're like, there's no future with them, and they give everything to them. And then the guy that you can build the future with, you're like giving them some things, but you're sharing the most precious, women, what you don't understand, your body's the most precious thing that you can share with the man. And if you're just giving it away to someone and the person that should be worth it is getting nothing, what sense does that make? And I know in the mind of many out there, that makes lots of sense, but it really doesn't. Because what happens, for example, with this guy, you get an incurable disease. Now the guy that's waiting for you at the end of all of that, at the end of the road, is not a pot of gold, is a pot of herpes or HPV, HIV, chlamydia, syphilis, all those things. So you playing the Russian roulette because you want to get your body, your body's desires and hungers fulfilled is just not very healthy in a meaningful relationship. So if you're not going to give it to the guy that's worth it, don't give it to the guy that's not worth it. And that's my point. And I'm not sitting here advocating for any kind of lifestyle, but I'm like, if we're going to be faced with the reality of what people out there doing, you need to do things that are worth it in the end and not in the beginning. All right, Donnie. So you've heard Jim and you've heard myself. What say you?
At one point, Jim had mentioned projection. I do think that there is part of it there that leads to an issue. I think a fact that has to be taken into account, and I guess this does go for men and women, it's just that the sex doesn't mean the same thing across the genders in general.
Yes.
Like generally speaking, women do tend to have a more of an emotional outlook on the act of sex. As you saw in the video, all of them had some differing sort of reaction about how it's an intimate thing and all that. So I guess what the fear is there is because it's this intimate thing. If you care about the person, there's going to be some sort of judgment or something. That's where the projection is coming in. The men are generally not looking at it in that way. They're looking at it for what it is really. So there has to be some sort of like middle point where there's like a how do I say a compromise or something. Like a woman can't go into a situation putting more weight or assuming the other person in it is putting more weight on something than they actually are, because then that's going to lead to conclusions that are going to cause issues. And I guess conversely, since I've already mentioned it, I guess the dude just has to make sure they don't treat it as if it's, I don't know, any other thing. Just give it some sort of importance. But yeah, I think it's that difference in the weight that sex has on the perception of someone that's causing some sort of divide there. Well, yeah.
I agree with that. And I think that also you have to put into consideration ultimately what kind of life do you want for yourself? And and I think that's the issue. The issue with a lot of people is they make decisions now with no thought of tomorrow. So what are the consequences of these actions? Okay, you mess with somebody that you probably shouldn't be messing with because whatever, you have sexual desires, and something happens like an STD, herpes. There's no cure for herpes. So that really complicates your lifestyle when you want to get into a serious relationship with someone, because the reality is you're most likely going to transmit that disease to that person, especially if you get married to the person. Most people, when they get married, they have unprotected sex. So if you get married and you have unprotected sex with somebody, even if you are taking the medication, there is a possibility that you will transmit the herpes virus to your spouse or to whoever you're having sex with, even with medication. I know that has happened to a few of my friends that I know, that they were in a relationship and contracted herpes, and it's so far that I know, it's been women that I've known, and they've confronted the guy. He was like, "Oh, I didn't know that you would get it. I was on medication." But they tell you that even with medication, it is still possible to transmit the virus with medication. So now you've already put yourself in an unnecessary situation where you're with someone, and that's why the whole purpose of no sex before marriage, I mean, these are the reasons why, because they lead to a lot of complications, getting pregnant, sexual diseases, even the mindset of what sex means in itself. Because once you start having sex, with multiple partners, it changes. The perspective of sex changes from the person that's having it, especially like you said, if it's a woman, that often there's an emotional bond with the sexual activity. I mean, not to say that men don't go through the same thing, but a lot of times it's the women that go through these things. And so now you have this issue you get with the next person in your mindset. And then a lot of times you're comparing one person to another person. Oh, this sex was bad, this sex was good. And so next thing you know, it's just a whole lot of complications. But that's a whole different topic. I don't want to get into all of that. I want to play a little bit more of this, because there's some other things that I wanted to respond to in this conversation.
My piece on, because you guys said yours.
Please. Wait. Can I say my turn off?
Well, hold on, we'll address that next. But the thing is this, because I wanted to really illustrate something here. You said, I'm turned on by a guy that makes me laugh, right? You gave a politically correct answer about what turns you on. I want a guy that makes me laugh. A lot of women say that. But then I asked you, did you guys have sex on 3 prior meetings? And you said no. And ladies, I hate to sound like an asshole, but this podcast is for men. And we teach guys all the time.
Teach them. That,
quite frankly, women aren't very honest about what they're aroused by. They're honest about what they like, but they're not honest about what they're aroused by.
Right.
Because if we switch it around, hey, Dave Chappelle walks in here, would you smash him? That's a yes. And the thing is this.
Because I would want to
some guys, but you dated this guy too. So the point is this, there's rules for some guys and there aren't rules for others. So the thing is that we got to educate men and let them know, and this, I hate to make it like, oh, I'm going to use you as a guinea pig to illustrate this, but guys, this is a textbook example of a woman tells you one thing, but she's aroused by something else. And that guy fucked up by being a funny, nice guy, because what happened is he made it very apparent that he's willing to wait for sex from you.
Yes. Which was such a turn on.
No, it is not, because you did not fuck him. Well, what you say and what happens are two different things.
So we did eventually, and it was.
I was about to ask.
But the point is this. Okay, I'll give you an example. Let's say you go to the Gucci store tomorrow. You find a bag for $1,000. Like, damn, this thing is normally $5,000. This is awesome, right? You buy it. You think you got a discount, right? Then you come in the next day and you find out your friend got the bag for $100. And you go to the receptionist, you're like, what the fuck? I want a refund. I want to get that credit back on that $900 that I spent, right? And then they tell you, no, we're not giving you credit because they only pay $100. You got to pay $1,000 no matter what. How'd that make you feel?
I'm kind of confused.
Yeah, I'm so confused.
Hold on. Now you see how much logic he used with them, and they couldn't get it. You see how it all flew over their heads. And that's the important thing about understanding what people are saying to you. You know, a lot of times, many women, not all, because I know some very fine women out there that can get everything. You know, I'll give a perfect example. I always use her, my long-term friend, Latoya. Latoya, you know who, Lolly, you know who you are. She can get anything, like, boom, here you go. You know, I get it. I understand it. And then you have some ladies like this that he gave a perfect analogy to what the conversation about the giving the guy something for nothing and the guy having to give a lot to get the same thing. And that's basically what he said. And they couldn't understand it. They couldn't understand at all the logic in what he was, because he was basically telling them, this is what you're basically doing to the 3-4 date guy, whatever it was, until things happen between them. He was saying, how would you feel if you had to pay high price for something that the next person got for almost nothing? And she was like, what? I don't understand that. But that's basically what she just told him to some guy that she's like, I don't care about him, so I'm going to let him hit it. And then the guy really like, I'm just going to make him wait because, I want to make sure the relationship works. And that's like the dumbest logic ever. I'm sorry. Whoever believes that, I don't condone going outside and playing in traffic, but please do it right now, because that is the most ridiculous sense that anything has ever been tried to make in the history of common sense itself. All right, Jim. So you heard it. What do you have to say about that?
I've been dealing with women like this since high school. My tolerance levels just dropped from there with that type of logic and behavior that they don't understand. It goes over your head. You can create excuses for your behavior, but when that behavior is analyzed, it goes over your head. Like, really? Like, come on now. You can't, and this is why I always said you cannot be this lack of intelligence. You cannot. And it doesn't, I always say, like, oh, you have an ego, you're demeaning towards women, this is that. I'm like, no, you are really that slow. The analogies used to make an example, if you cannot understand it, I don't know what to tell you. That was pretty straightforward.
Very straightforward.
Would you feel offended if somebody paid $100 and you pay $1,000 for the same item? That's basically what it is, huh? No, there is no huh. It's just the people who give questions, people who give answers to a question that's basically a yes or no. Why are you giving a question to a yes or no answers? Yes or no?
Right.
Excuse me. And this is what frustrates me a lot about women. I'll give you my example. I take a bus home to when I travel home. And it's for 2 hours. So of course you're gonna converse with people on the bus. And I converse with women who are married. And I also converse with men who are married too. And there's always a difference between me and the married men. And me is that I challenge the married women with their philosophies and talking, while the married men sometimes go along with it. And I get on their case because I say, you know what, you go along with that BS. And then you're wondering why you don't want to go home at the end of the day. I was like, yo, what happened to your manhood? Where is it? He was like, oh, well, you don't understand. And I was like, yeah, I do understand. You just want to you get along to have a freaking suitable life for you to go home and have peace. And some of these women's logic was just like her out there. And when I make analogies, they say that's the stupidest thing you ever heard. Like, really? Because you don't understand, it's stupid. I says, maybe you don't understand because you're stupid. And I did say that. And then, everybody was like, oh, how did he say that? I'm like, whatever. It's simple logic. He just simply said, would you rather pay $100 or $1,000 and is it fair? That's it. I don't get it. I really don't get it.
All right, Donnie. So you've heard us. What say you?
I don't have much to say on this. I do just want to say it is interesting to think if they couldn't understand it, I guess that demonstrates the point more, that the logic doesn't make that very much sense. I'd say that would be good proof of that if they can't understand this example, it means that the logic they're living by doesn't make sense to them, straight up.
That's a good point.
So they should abandon it.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. Right. If you can't understand your own argument, that definitely means that it doesn't make sense. Absolutely, because you should be able to see the reflection that is posted back at you, and they didn't. And you see the response, they understood. It's so funny. They understood her perspective. I don't know if people were paying attention to early in the video where she was talking about, yeah, if I don't like the guy, like whatever she said, I'm horny and I'm just gonna, smash. And they all got that. They were all like seals waiting for a fish, and they was, slapping their fins. But the minute he threw it back at them, and they knew, I mean, come on, you don't know what he's talking about there. You know that if you were faced with the situation of a bag like that, you definitely would be that woman wanting to get your money back and get it for $100. You'd be upset. And then you'd be even more upset when you couldn't get it. So it's a total apples and apples argument. But of course, they don't understand it because I don't think it's that they can't. They don't want to. And it might be a conscious effort for them not to be accountable for their flawed logic in dealing with men. So that could be the issue there, that they just really don't want to admit that what they're doing is wrong. So they play dumb. So that could be it.
Yes, it came from a man. That's what it is. Women do not, it's the power of submitting. Part of the reasons of why men like women that submit. They did not want to submit that point. And since it came from a man, they will fight you tooth and nail. If it came from one of their homegirls, it'll be readily accepted. Like, yes, queen, all this other crap. It came from a guy.
Right.
And from a strong guy at that fact, because I know I've seen videos of Myron, that dude don't play. So if you get from a man who is strong within himself, they're going to play stupid and hoping you go along with their act.
That's true.
And men who are not sure or not, emotionally strong or, are not desperate or who are, simps will go along with that. Let's just call it that. Simps will go along with that. Men like Myron and that other guy, Fresh and Fit, those two guys will not go along with that BS. And they will not take their opinions or their arguments. They will not readily accept or hear. They'll just ignore, just say, and hoping that you go on to something else.
Right. Definitely. And so let me just play some more of it. There'll probably be some other things to discuss on there.
Go to the Gucci store.
That's not a turn on, by the way.
Oh, cool. I'm not trying to bang you.
No,
so
I know.
the point, I'm trying to illustrate something here. If you go,
Can I illustrate? Can I help? Because I think I get where your question is going at, but I think you confuse how quick I want to sleep with someone with my interest in them.
No, the point is this.
You know what I mean?
So-
Because if I'm really interested in a guy, I am gonna want to wait because I want it to be more.
See the flawed logic?
More
Oh my God!
Here's the thing.
If it turns
Ladies.
you on, not if it makes you want him to be your boyfriend. What makes your pussy wet is what he's
Yeah.
asking.
Talk to him, girl.
That
motherfucker lava flow.
For me, it's the same thing. If you really turn me on,
that
you really turn me on, I really want you to be my boyfriend. You know what I mean?
No,
It ain't gonna happen. He ain't gonna do that.
Capping.
Listen.
Fair
the
use.
point is this.
Capping.
You made one guy pay more for a Gucci bag that someone else paid nothing for, is what I'm trying to say.
But who paid
Because
nothing for
whether
my
you guys want to
Gucci
accept it or
bag?
not, whether women want to accept it or not, men always look at it.
You heard
like,
what she said, right?
I'm doing all this.
But my previous argument
didn't
should
do
have said.
nothing.
Yeah.
But how do you know that other dudes did nothing?
Cause you know.
So you heard the lady on the side said it took her a while to get that. So she figured it out. You see, there you go. All right, continue. Fair use, by the way. And please forgive all the cursing. We try not to have profanity on this show, but unfortunately, I'm not that advanced where I can bleep out all of the curses yet.
You can understand the topic if you do that.
No, some guys did less than
Nah,
others.
you know guys be talking like that
I
to each
know,
other and
this is
shit
gonna
like
sound
that.
For
sure. We talked before the podcast, and I was like, they're never gonna believe it, but I've actually I've never had a one night stand. I've never had a first date fuck. Like,
Right.
I know.
You heard what he said, Cappin. Cappin.
Look at all the caps
The
in
point
the
is this.
comments.
Even if you've never had a one night stand, the
Right.
fact of the matter is this. There's guys that have not had to take you on multiple dates like that to get sexual access, whereas this guy has. Now, whether women want to accept it or not, no one wants to pay more
Facts.
for something that other people get at a cheaper price. That's why I use
Facts.
the Gucci bag thing.
Right.
You'll be pissed as fuck at that receptionist, say, I want a refund, give me back $900 because I paid $1,000 and someone else got it for $100. The receptionist is gonna look at
Facts.
you and be like, No, that's your price. You got to pay 1,000. They get it for
So
100.
for the men watching, what would be your advice to sleep with me quicker?
What? Hold on. Wait. What? Oh my, that woman is Looney Tunes. Did she not just ask that question? Oh my goodness.
You should be asking.
All right, wait, I gotta jump to Donnie on this one. Donnie, what is your reaction to that?
That was a straw man's argument there. That I don't know where that could go. I don't know what you could prove with that, honestly.
Oh my goodness, that was way from left field. Oh my goodness. Woo. Let me tell you, that's someone who I think she got caught in her own era of expressing herself and wanted to deflect it back to like not take accountability for her flawed logic. And that was the whole purpose of that. But how could somebody tell you what somebody should do for you? That's was outrageous. And I think maybe she's nervous and didn't know how to respond to the fact that she got exposed for something that she didn't realize. I think she didn't realize that her logic was flawed. And then when he brought it to attention, then she realized after some coaxing, after some explanations and further investigation, that what she was saying was wrong. But the problem with that, instead of correcting it in a positive way, now she reversed it even further negatively. So now how can everybody do this? Not just like, okay, I shouldn't be doing that. I should be making it worth it or not at all. But she was like, now how can everybody have sex with me quicker? That's outrageous. I mean, Jim, am I wrong? Tell me, please.
That was not the question she was supposed to ask. That was even not the point of Myron telling her all these things. This is where she should just kept her mouth shut. If you don't have anything, keep your mouth closed.
Definitely.
She dug a hole, and it just got deeper and deeper and deeper, and she can't even dig herself out of it because she's asking the wrong questions and she's digging herself deeper.
Now let's hear more of this. Let's get some more going on here. Let's see what he responds. I don't remember this part.
Advice instead of being a nice guy.
You don't be a nice guy.
Or like a good conversation.
The fact that he showed up to your birthday party and you still didn't fuck him tells me off rip that you were not aroused by him.
So I was supposed to fuck him that night, the night of the birthday party?
Birthday sex, what the fuck?
I think it depends on the situation.
Isn't that a song?
I think it depends on the situation.
Your bodysuit.
No, so then I'm actually curious what would have helped him achieve success quicker, because can I just say, like, there were other men pursuing at the same time and none of them got there because they were trying to impress me with things that weren't impressive. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, kind of bullshit. Good looking, but no. And then this guy that I just did not want to I wish I could, like, can I speak in Spanish? No.
Yeah.
That I wanted
She
to
never
like
speaks
attach by
Spanish,
him. I
by
was
the
like,
way.
holy shit, I'm really attracted to this dude. Like, I'm so attractive. And he won them out. You know what I mean?
Connection.
He beat the other.
Won
yeah,
that
he beat
pussy.
the other.
Connection.
Did he become your
I
boyfriend?
guess
it just
know it's
depends on
okay.
the guy.
I can see
So you
your
don't think
face,
it
but
depends on the
it's-
guy and like what he's looking for? Because
No.
there's some guys who will say, you know what, she's worth the wait, and there's some guys who say,
Yes.
you know what, fuck, let me
And
just go
I've
to the next
Yes.
Gucci
Or-
store that's having
and
the
I've
sale.
had
God, we
guys
can hold
that
out. We
was
can wait though.
happening.
We can wait it out and
That's
fuck
what
you
I'm
and
saying.
still say fuck you at the end. We
Yeah.
can fuck you and then say fuck
But
you.
I think-
Never
And
worked.
let me
I think
stop
it's all
that
the-
because that is so true. And that's the risk when you play those kind of games. That can happen because you'll have some guys, they'll figure it out and they'll be like, you know what? I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna jump through the hoops and then I'm gonna get it. And then I'm gonna be like, pow, peace. And that happens so often, especially when the guy finds out that you're for the streets and you're making him jump through hoops, which is really for dogs and dolphins. But you know, some guys do that. Some guys, they get very upset and they're like, you know what? She did all this to me. I'm going to make her, you know, I'm going to wait. Then I'm going to hit it and then I'm going to quit it. And then a lot of times that hurts because now you've invested emotionally in somebody who's checked out. that's the risk you run when you play these games. And especially when the guy finds out. There's times where, no harm, no foul when the guy doesn't know. But when the guy finds out, and sometimes it happens that they find out what you're about, they're like, okay, I'm just going to wait it out. I'm going to get that stuff. And then when I get that stuff, I'm out of here like Vladimir. See you later, alligator. And now you're left because you've said, oh, this guy's the one. I would care about him. I want to have something. But now he's really just divested himself of all of you once you've had sex with him. But now whose fault is that? Because you put him through something that you weren't fair to him. And that's the thing. And you weren't fair. You didn't give him a fair shot. And so, of course, you paid the price in the end because he held on to his vendetta against you until you slept with him. And then once you slept with him, he outroed. And now you're left holding the bag. Now, where do you go from there? You're hurt because you invested your emotion in this guy when you should have really just set everything aside for him, not just your emotion, your body and everything. But now because your emotion became before your body, and now he slowly checked out because he didn't like what you put him through, but he wanted to have sex with you because that's the, when a guy often when he feels cheated and there's nothing else left for him, he'll settle for the sex and then leave after the sex because that's the consolation prize, because the relationship is not worth it anymore to him. So that's what you run the risk of. All right, Jim. So I see definitely you look like you're ready to share something with us. So go ahead, brother.
All right. The whole point was that she said she had many suitors and they did not cut the mustard. All right, fine. But this guy supposedly did, and you still offered nothing? And honestly, she said, oh, why? He fits off your check marks. He's funny, he's all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. You let him wait, and then the guy who the suitors, or not even a person who was suiting you, gets it. Like, I don't get it. No effort equals free rewards. Like, she shot herself in the foot on that one. That absolutely made no sense. And then, like you said, with the guy, he's like, oh, you put me through that? He has to get something out of it. Men don't like to put in effort and be holding the bag. They don't want to be holding nothing. They will pass it on to you. They'll wait, be patient, pass it on to you, and just bounce. Leave you holding it. And a lot of men do that because, you know what, that's their way of just saying, you know what, you're not in control, I am.
Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely. All right, Donnie. So you've heard us go back and forth. You heard a lot of that conversation. All right. What is your response to that?
I say one of the guys on their show said it pretty well. If they want to leave, they can wait it out and then leave at the end either way. I guess what I want to say here is if sex really means something to you, then you have to wait, that's fine, but you got to do that like across the board, like consistently.
Absolutely.
For it to actually mean something in the end. And if that's not the case for you, don't wait, because someone who wants to stay is going to stay if you have sex with them the first day or the 30th day, as she obviously saw based on the fact that they had a third, fourth, whatever day.
Yeah, I agree with that. And yeah, definitely your value and your virtue has to be across the board. You can't be discriminating against the person that you're saying is worth your time. That just makes no sense, ladies. It makes no sense at all. Like Donnie said, if somebody wants to be with you, they're going to be with you. But the one thing that someone who's making the effort to be with you and waiting does not want to be cheated. And if you're giving something away to someone else that you have deemed is unworthy of you, but you give them your body, what else is there of you? Are you gonna now buy this guy a house? What are you giving the guy now? If you just gave your body to someone else for basically nothing, and now you get with some guy that you haven't given your body to, what are you giving him? Are you gonna buy him a car? You're gonna get him a house of $100,000 chain? What is it you're giving this guy that you claim is worthy of you? Because what comes with love? Like you say, oh, I love him. Okay, so what you opened the love box and what is in that? What is in the love box? What is that? Because when, in my time, people had sex to express love. So now you love somebody. What are they getting? A home cooked meal, a sandwich. What are they getting? A tattoo on your body of their name. What are you giving this guy that you say you loved him? And then what was usually an expression of love, you just gave to somebody because you wanted to get your rocks off. So where do you go from there? And that's what you don't understand. It's like, if the goal in your life with people is sex, and now you have made the goal of this guy that you've kind of made jump through hoops, like a dog or a dolphin, now that's all he can get from you. That's the consolation prize, because why does he want your love? What is your love? What comes along with the love? And there's a lot of women that they're not spoiling the guy. They're not giving him the dream house. He's got to bring something to the table. So what is he bringing to your table? When, going back to Kevin Samuels, if this guy's worth anything, he can find another woman that's not doing what you're doing. And that's what you don't understand. You're versing it like what your Snapple made from the greatest stuff on earth, because there's plenty of women out there. And if he can't get what he wants from you, he can get it from somebody else who's willing to do right by him and not let people invade their bodies because they just want to get their rocks off. There are women who have virtue and value out there. And if a guy's looking for a woman that has virtue and value, guess what's going to happen? They're going to keep looking for that person. If you're not that person, they may entertain you, like many have said on lots of shows. They may entertain you and wait to lay down with you, and then look for the person that's meaningful. Because at that point, now they can start all over again. And then now you're left holding the bag. And let's be honest, how much time did you waste getting to know this guy and playing that game? And how long was those 3 dates, those 4 dates? Was that a month, 2 months, 3 months? So you've already spent all that time playing these games with this guy, and now he slept with you, and basic conversation, it doesn't sound like they're together anymore. So it didn't work out. Based on the way she's describing the situation, because if she's asking what about guys now, so the formula she used, it didn't work. It didn't work, making this guy wait and going back and forth and playing these games. Oh, I really liked him and the sex was good. And then guess what happened after he got the sex? He's gone. He's not there now, because she's asking the advice on guys sleeping with her now. If you're in a relationship with somebody, you're not going to ask those questions. I'm just saying. You're not. So she unqualified herself. And that's the point. The point is, when you meet people, when you meet men, and when men meet women, you have to gauge what is important in a relationship. And it has to be on the scope of long lasting. If not, you're just going to waste a lot of time. Jumping in and out of relationships is very unhealthy. And I know people think that it isn't, but here's the thing. Before you know, you're 20 something years old. Now you're 30 something. Now you're 40 something. Now you're 50. I know women that is 50 something years old, and guess where they are? Single and ready to mingle, but no one's ready to mingle with that single. So what did you do with all the time where you should have been investing in these serious relationships? Wasted your time having fun, making importance of other things outside of relationships. And, it's just interesting that relationships are always sacrificable over whatever else is having fun, of school, career, all of those things. But the thing here is, I know people who balance all those things in life: a career, going to school, a family, husband, wife, whatever. It's time management. That's what it's about. So you can't claim that it's impossible, because people do it every day. People, they make effort for the things they want in life. And that's really what it's about. It's about meeting someone of quality character, not being superficial in your desire, because the more superficial you are, the more superficial consequences and results you're going to have from that superficial relationship. It happens more times than not. I've seen it, I see people now, they're like in a horrible relationship with somebody, but because they can't let go of the superficial ways. They stay in those relationships, and who knows what's going to happen 10, 15 years from now when the person is not as desirable as and that's another problem that many women have. They get into these superficial relationships, and these guys have them around till they're older in life, and they're quite older, gave them lots of kids, and or put them in a situation where they're dependent on the husband, and they're like, I'm going to go do me now. And then now they're stuck in this marriage or this relationship with nowhere to go because they have nothing to show for it. Anyway, so I'm going to leave that video here, and then we can kind of talk and close out the show because, you know, I felt like I don't want to hold this too long on YouTube. Jim?
Oh, yeah. So I agree with what you said. The problem is that women have blurred the line between the difference between a man and a woman. Okay? There's old saying, sperm is plentiful, eggs are expensive, sperm is cheap, because women are born with a predetermined amount of eggs they're going to have for their lifetime. And you have a certain amount of time to use them. Unfortunately, with all these ideologies and stuff clashing, women think that they can act in the same rules and parameters as men. Incorrect. You are wrong. You unfortunately have a time limit, and your value decreases over time. The return on interest on you decreases over time, and other factors decrease your value. What Jonathan says, other children, how many babies, fathers you have, your attitude, your you know, we don't value the same things women value in terms of relationships, and that whole thing is you're trying to be like a man. Incorrect. You are bringing your women attitude into men thinking, and you are getting it wrong. We do not care about your degrees. We do not care about how successful you are, what car you're driving, what house you're living in, and stuff like that. We do not care. We care about friendly, fit, same thing as Kevin Samuels put in. And you are bringing a woman's ideology into a man's sphere. Wrong. Get out of it. You're wrong. In addition to that, you know, how much time you're wasting upon that one man. Do not keep one man around because you don't want another woman getting him. He's gonna go to another woman regardless. You cannot stop it. You cannot do nothing about it. You can just watch. Do not try to think that you're keeping him from another woman just because, you know, blah, 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 blah. You have children, blah, blah, blah. No, it's not going to work. If he is that disinterested in you, he's going to do whatever. You have to keep working at it. Don't act like, you know, you doing this one thing or talk a whole bunch of stuff. You're keeping him in check. Wrong.
I agree with that.
You are not the guy. Do not pretend you are the guy.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
You will have a little bit of an easier time. I went through this. I have a lot of experience in this. I have, unfortunately, you know, been through it more times than I can count. I have been ridiculed, insulted, bashed, you know, all these things. And for all the abuse I have taken, these women have ended up in the same place as I found them. And I basically, you know, I know it's cool. I laugh when they complain. Because for all the things you have publicly done to me in front of other people, you still have nothing to show for it. And I'm not claiming the high ground when it comes to that, because I have, you know, I really will say that, you know, I will put your feet to the fire, and your end result will be a vindication for somebody else. Yeah, it's wrong. You know, it's borderline petty, but it's the consequences of not heeding an advice who comes from a good place, and you just belittle, berate, and, you know, say who hurt you and stuff like that. It's not about hurting. It's about an observation that you are making, and that maybe you're just going about, we just want you to think about it. We don't want you to do no, like, think about it. That's all.
All right, Donnie. So you heard how Jim really feels. So now that we know all of that,
Tell him why you mad.
what do you got for us? What do you got for us? And then we'll just kind of close out from there.
Sure. Usually I just throw some sort of practical takeaway in anyway, so I feel like I'll do that. I guess what the takeaway here is, never, as I said before, as Jim obviously alluded to and also said, never project your own beliefs onto anyone else. Don't assume that people will act according to the way that you think, because that's going to lead you into conflicts that you could have avoided for the entire time. Be consistent and actually follow the things you believe if you're going to tell people that you're living by them. And anything else? Yeah, no, that's it. I just wanted those quick notes in there.
So I just want to jump on the things you just said, because I think the point here is you have to know, especially ladies and guys too, for those of you out there that are looking for meaningful relationships, you have to know, first of all, you have to know your dysfunction, and you have to know what it is that's making you tick. Like, why are you engaging in things that are not healthy? So Fresh and Fit, they're not going to tell this woman that her thought is healthy because their show was just cut from a different cloth. The purpose of their conversation is not about meaningful relationship. It's about sex, no sex, making a guy wait versus not making a guy wait. But in reality, when you're going to get, for example, on Kevin Samuel's show, Kevin Samuel's going to talk to you about relationships, marriages, and things like that. So your goal has to be, what is it that you really want? What is your goal in life when it comes to relationships? Is it just have sex with as many people as you want? No commitments. But here's the thing with that. You have to come with the understanding that there's a sacrifice that you're making. If you're gonna live this fast life, that comes at a cost. And the cost is you're gonna waste a lot of time. Because if you think it's worth it, then it won't be a waste. It'll be a waste when you want something else, and then you realize you spent all this time doing the wrong thing. So you have to think the ultimate goal for you when you're 60 years old, 70 years old, what do you want your life to speak for you? What do you want it to say about you? Do you want it to say, oh, I had lots of sex, had lots of women, had lots of men. Now I'm going to accept being by myself? Because people have lived that life. And I don't want to call anyone out, but I know some people who've done that. And now they're older in life and they're alone. And now they're like, well, I'll just take anybody. I don't even need sex. I just, need companionship. There are people that they're lonely now because they've sacrificed meaningful marriages and relationships for fun. And time goes by real fast. I mean, I think about myself, how long I've been working. Look, Donnie is 21. That's 21 years since he was born. That went by fast. So you think about how things in life. I've worked at my place of employment for 3 decades. So who would have thought 3 decades would have went by that fast? So if time goes by faster than you realize, think about how 4 years already passed since Trump was the president. We have a year and some months since he's been president of the United States. That went by fast. Obama's presidency, 8 years. That went by fast. Things go by fast. So you think you have time, but when you blink and you lose focus on the day in and day out, you lose track of time and it flies by you. For anyone who's ever been late for work, you know what I'm saying. Because although there's 24 hours in a day, you can fall asleep and you can wake up and pass by all those hours that you needed to be up early. And then it's gone. Once you lost that time, you can't go get it back. Once you're late for work, you can't be unlate for work. It doesn't happen that way. You've already missed the time when you're supposed to be in. So you got to really just focus on what is going to be most important in the end. Forget about now. You got to focus on the end. And that's the problem. So many people, they can't see past what they're doing today. They don't worry about what happens tomorrow. There's so many people, they destroy their futures. They destroy their families. Because they can't see the long-term consequences of the actions that they do today or tomorrow or yesterday. And that's really the point. If you're looking for something meaningful, you have to move, you have to navigate through life looking for meaningful purpose. And if you meet someone that doesn't check your list fairly, then keep it moving. But move right away. Don't wait too long. Don't say, oh, I got time, because before you know it, you don't have time. And most of us are not celebrities where we can get out of one relationship. We're not like J-Lo, where J-Lo could leave A-Rod and next week she's with Ben Affleck. It doesn't happen that time, that often in time. You have a lot of people who they break up with somebody, and now it's like, who are you with next? Who do you go to next? Is it a quality person for you? Because you're not going to meet Ben Affleck, you're not going to meet J-Lo. You know, you break up with somebody, you're going to be really trying to do some soul searching into a person that you're going to have the ability to meet and be in a relationship with. And that's really the point. So we got to get it together, because if you don't get it together, it's not going to help anyone. So with that being said, I'm going to close out here. Your host, Jonathan St. James, along with Jim and Donnie St. James, and I'll let them bid you a farewell, and we'll call it a day.
Take care.
Take care, everyone.